So what's the most important thing for you guys when you come to a festival? So what's the most important thing that you feel in order for you to feel comfortable?
We're pretty easy, I'll be honest. Like, we just love playing together. Like, we've played together for I think 6 or 7 years now, and it's just the playing together that we love. Like, I think the more we play together as a group and the more we gel as people and as a band, it becomes even more exciting. So we're feeling good at the moment. We're in a good place.
And what do you think about OpenAir St. Gallen? You said before that you were here like 2 years before for the first time. What do you say about this festival?
I remember it being a good show. We love festival season in general, and I remember St. Gallen being like one where the crowd were really up for it. I remember it was 2 years ago now, and we weren't really we couldn't play really big venues in Switzerland, so I think that really helped us grow as a band. And I think at the end of the year we're playing a pretty big venue in Zurich, so it's cool.
Nice. Do you have any special funny festival stories that you would like to share?
Festival funny, Glastonbury Festival. So it was last year, and it was our sound guy. He's called The Nail. It was his birthday. So Connor didn't tell us he's actually going to do this, but Connor stopped the set halfway through, got a pint glass and poured The Nail a pint of beer, and then got the crowd to pass it from the stage all the way back to the sound booth where he was. And it took ages. It took so long for this. I think we had to cut a song because it took so long. And it got back to the sound guy, and he took a sip. And he said his lips went a bit numb, so he thinks someone put something in the beer on the way there. I don't know. We don't know what, but yeah, he didn't finish it.
And do you notice any differences from audiences in Switzerland compared to audiences in the UK?
I think it depends on the show, to be honest. I mean, it depends on so many things, like what the crowd are feeling and the weather. It depends. I don't know. No massive difference, but we've always had a good time here. So yeah.
Cool. And so you have also been touring a lot during the past years. And do you remember a show that stood out, especially in all these years you were touring, that you really remember and like to look back to?
I mean, we've done so many. I think we've been touring pretty much non-stop since 2014. So it's been a lot of shows. When I was a kid, I went to Reading Festival was that's the one I always went to. I went there year after year after year.
I was at Leeds last year.
Oh, yes, yeah. So when we played that on main stage, that was a big moment for our band, because we've spent so much looking at the stage from the crowd, and then being able to have the other view and look out at the crowd from the stage it was a big moment for our band. I think it really spurred us on to write more music and that sort of thing.
Totally imagine that, especially if you've been to that festival as a kid, and yeah. And what are the advantages or maybe disadvantages in festival shows compared to club shows?
Well, I think it's almost a different game. So when you're at a festival, they're not just your fans. You're probably trying to win over other people who have kind of heard the name, or maybe can't be bothered to go get a beer, so they just stick around and see what music's going on. So that changes things a bit. Your own show, you haven't really got to think about that. Everyone knows the music and everyone sort of knows all the words, and I guess it makes in some ways a festival harder, because you've got to work a bit harder to get everyone on board. But I know we kind of like that challenge. It's maybe it makes us up our game a bit, which is good.
And last year, your festival season last year was some bad things that happened, with Salmonella and Connor hurting his eye, and your shit getting lost. How's festival season going this year going so far? Any bad luck?
None yet. Fingers crossed that we won't get any. I mean, I'm hoping we got all the bad luck out of the way last year, and this run's going to be a bit more plain sailing. We're kind of trying to look after each other a little bit more this time, so yeah, no problems. But it's quite early, so we don't know what's going to happen yet.
So what do you guys, or what do you personally appreciate when you go and see a band live? Like, what makes a good concert when you are in the audience?
I think the best examples of going to a show that I've ever had, and you don't get it that often because it's a really difficult thing to achieve. Even it doesn't matter how big the crowd is. You could be playing to 100,000 people. You could be playing to 100 people. It's making everyone in that crowd feel included within the show. I hate it when it's almost like, as a band, you're playing at the crowd and the crowd are just sort of sit back and watching. That's not basically, you want it to become a communal experience, and that's really hard to do. It's kind of intangible. You can't force that. It just sometimes is, sometimes it isn't. So, I mean, bands like Radiohead and Foo Fighters, I think they do that really well. You could be right at the back of a field and you feel Dave Grohl's like right in your face. That's what I love. They're the best shows.
I felt exactly that thing like yesterday when Portugal the Man played. They got that. So I'm a big music fan myself, obviously. So I'm always interested in what the artist I like listen to. So what do you have on heavy rotation? What band or what record do you have on heavy rotation at the moment?
Let's have a look, shall we? I actually, Joe, I've been listening to a load of Gang of Youths. They're playing on Sunday, I think. They're an amazing band. Like, we've been fans of them for a long time, and we haven't really got to tour with them yet. But I really want to tour with them at some point. They're wicked. What else am I listening to? Let's have a look on Spotify. D More Pappy. They're like a young, kind of small band from the UK. D More Pappy, and let me show you. Watching that band reminds me of being like a young kid and like loving rock music again. I feel like they're really fresh, and we're actually bringing them on tour in America, so they're great. I'll check them out.